I have no engagement in my community is one of the most common complaints for online creators. In this video, we discuss what is community engagement and whether you should even care about it at all. Honestly, it is what we hear from everyone.
Yeah.
Nobody's clicking, nobody's liking, nobody says anything. Radio
Yeah.
silent.
So, spoiler alert, engagement is a vanity metric. So, what does that even mean, Sandy? Like, what does engagement mean when an online creator who maybe has a course or a membership or a coaching program with an attached
Mhm.
community is complaining that there's no engagement in their group?
Yeah. So they ask questions and nobody says anything. No one creates their own posts. Like no one's like asking their own questions as a separate post. No one's liking, no one's commenting. It is literally radio silence in the community, in the group.
Mhm. Yeah. So, in some ways, that feels a little disappointing. And there are things that you can do to kind of try to elevate the conversation, get people talking, and, having the kinds of conversations that you were hoping would happen in a
Mhm.
community space. But we want you to be really laser focused on what your goal is for a particular community, especially if it's attached to an online program or an online
Right.
paid offering. Like why is that community there? And if you don't know the answer to that, that means that your students don't know the answer for sure.
Mhm. I think a lot of creators will just I did my part. I posted a question or whatever, and nobody's answering. Therefore, they kind of put it back like there's something wrong with them. They're not engaging. And then they also make it mean like this is failing. Like
Yeah.
they're not asking questions. Therefore, something has gone terribly wrong. They don't want to be here. They don't like me. They don't like the content. They have nothing to say. Like they make it a much bigger deal. And this is the vanity part, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe it's fine. Like, it's fine,
Yeah.
and that goes to
Yeah.
your point about what type of group is it? What is the
Yeah.
purpose of the group?
Yeah, and I think if you have, say, an online course and you have decided to attach a community to it because you
Mhm.
heard that was a good idea, which maybe is great. Maybe it is a great idea. It could just mean that the content in your course is clear enough that no one has
Yeah,
any
maybe there's no
questions.
questions. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the other part of it. So if you're not doing anything, if there's no part of the course that is driving people to interact with you or each other, they might not feel like it's even appropriate to go in there and start posting things. Like you as the leader have to kind of define what that space is for and how to use it. So if you're just like setting it up and forgetting it, probably no one's going to post anything and it maybe is fine, but
Mhm.
if you want interaction, then that has to be something that you're intentionally cultivating in that space.
Mhm. But also, as a student in a course, I
Mhm.
don't wanna spend any more time online than I have to in front of a
Yes.
screen. So, like you
Yes.
said, if I got the information, even if the question was so good or, I had some I just might not. I just choose not to engage in a community.
Yeah. I think that that's true, and I also wanna say, this is why we have leaned in the last, I don't know, 6 months heavily into cohorts, like, for our higher
Mhm.
ticket program because, like, I love the idea of a cohort community because you get to engage for a specific period of time, and it's kind of a bustly place, but it's not like this, like, ongoing commitment to interact for no
Right.
real defined reason. Like, when you have a cohort, you have a defined reason, which is, like, we are trying to get you from point A to point B by this
Mhm.
cutoff date. So
Mhm.
let's like do everything we can to get that to happen. But in
Right.
the absence of that, like, yeah, if it's just an online course and it's just, oh, we've attached a community, like maybe think twice about why you did that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because if it's a DIY course and I just watch the videos and then there's a community attached to it and I don't know anybody in there, I'm
Mhm.
probably not going to engage, right? And that's when
Mhm.
it's like pulling teeth to get anybody to ask
Yeah.
questions or do anything. But if you are doing a live cohort, whether that's like live coaching or whether that's like an actual course that you're all doing the same things at the same time, that now become that there's a connection there. They are part of
Mhm.
something bigger than themselves, and you will probably get have a much easier time with engagement in that type of community because they are supporting each other all in the same place, all sort of struggling with the same thing, all going through the same transformation,
Mhm.
then you start to see these like natural native posts where they're like, "Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm at this stage. How are you guys doing?" You know?
Yeah. And in that case, you're not just selling a transformation slash result, you're selling the experience as well. So I
Mhm.
think so much in business, you need to be intentional about like, what is the reason why I have this aspect or this video or this rule or this
Mhm.
process? Like every single thing that you do in your business should be intentional. And so you should have added a community to your paid offering for a reason. So
For
that's the
specific reasons.
first step is figuring out what is the reason why it would be productive for my students to have a community or for me if they have a community. What is that result or that end goal because of this one piece?
Mhm. We often ask our coaching clients that, like, I don't know if I should do this or that. Like, what is the best thing for the student to get the results? Like,
Yeah.
that's always the question. But it also has to be something like that you want to do, that you are in alignment.
Mhm.
Like, this makes sense for me. Totally fine and excited to do a community, happy to be online a little bit extra, whatever. Right. But so
Yeah.
that's the question is like, will this help the client get the result that you've promised? We've talked about courses. Let's talk about memberships. It's a little bit different, I think.
Yes. So a membership, I would say you should default to having a community attached to a membership for almost everyone because an online membership is it can become a very lonely place. And you as the business owner have to be concerned about people leaving that membership every single month, so churning out
Mhm.
of that membership. And so community and engagement is one very effective strategy to sort of entice people to stay because a membership business is really hard if you're selling all the time and then a huge percentage of your members are leaving every month. Like it's a really emotionally exhausting and not a super lucrative business model.
Mhm.
So members or a community can help solve for that problem.
I don't know, just trying to think. I don't think there's ever a situation where membership should not have a community. I think when you join a membership, you are, again, the way we teach how to build a membership is that you are going to lead your clients, students through a transformation. And along the way, they want to feel, again, a part of something that's bigger than themselves. You can do things like have language, words that are sort of used, in each of your members know what this word. So for example, in our community, the way we teach business, we have words like quintessential client or QC or sleuthing. And our clients, our members use those words. And outside, people probably wouldn't know really what we're talking about, but it's a sense of like we belong, we talk the same language, right? I
Mhm.
think also because a membership is longer, right? You're not just like 5 weeks and out. Hopefully you've got people in there for many, many months. They start to connect with others in the group. And then the older meaning like the longer members, start to support the newer members.
Mhm.
And it's this really cool kind of thing that happens with memberships is they start asking the ones who are more further along in their journey start answering questions and supporting the newer members because it feels
Yeah.
really good to be part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And to me, that was the part that I didn't actually expect when we first got into business. This is kind of, an aside,
Yeah.
but I think this is why you talk to people who've been doing this before if you're new, right? Is that I didn't realize that like when we have clients that have been in our luminaries program, which used to be called Inner Circle for years and years, and we see them meeting up in real life and getting and building projects together, hosting retreats together, it's magic to me to see that. Like, that was an
Mhm.
unintended consequence of what we've built and incredibly rewarding aspect of it. Like very, very humbling to see that. And so I just think that is part of the reason why you have a membership is to create
Mhm.
community with a certain group of people around a certain topic area. Like, that's one of the reasons to do it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't
Oh, I
I
I
don't
was
know.
just gonna say for like, I'm thinking about memberships and I can just hear the questions like, "But what do I do? What do I do to actually get
Yeah.
engagement?" And I think there's a couple things. Like you really when someone joins, and this I guess this is for any program, but I really think the onboarding is super important. What is the experience in those first few weeks are crucial, especially for a
Mhm.
membership, right? Because if they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, everyone's talking this
Yeah.
language. I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't feel part of it. I feel lost. I'm out. right? So to really make sure you're welcoming them in the community, they're introduced to everyone, they get a chance to introduce themselves to everyone, give them a little backstory, um, give them the roadmap of like, okay, you're new, here's what you're going to do first, help them, guide them through content, help them, let them know what happens in the community. I think that goes a long way because it can be kind of intimidating to enter a community where everyone's just chatting and knows each other. So I think it is our job as the leader, as the owner, to really help that process along for new members.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you need to be very present. Like someone from your team, if not you yourself, but probably you to a degree, needs to be present to those people in that space. I mean, that's why they signed up for a membership versus like some other, kind of offer. Like they
Yeah.
want people at least subconsciously want connection if they're signing up for a membership. I don't care what else they say. Like if you even look at examples, like really big examples in the industry, like Peloton, for example, like there's so much community, speaking of groups, in like the Peloton Facebook groups, or even in when you're doing a ride, people, connect with each other and high five each other when they're riding their
Mhm.
stationary bicycles in their own houses in different places in the world, right? Like that's a membership, and that's why Peloton's been successful, I would say, is because they created that community element into their business, something that like maybe made no sense to be
Mhm.
a community. They've cultivated it. So, one strategy, yes, have a roadmap. Yes, make it easy for people to understand how to fit in to the community. Yes, be a leader, but also look around at other memberships, at other examples of memberships and why they work well. Like especially in our industry, that's a really common business model, and it's also like a really lovely business model
Mhm.
because you get recurring revenue, right? And community, I would say, is at the core of pretty much every successful membership that we look at.
Yeah, and often, whatever interest you have, so in our case, it's like people trying to build online businesses. And a lot of like family members, friends don't really understand that. And so to be able to like express um frustration or excitement over whatever just
Yeah.
happened with people who get it, like that is the reason for a community, right? Like you just are
Yeah.
not alone.
Yeah.
So I think it's crucial for a membership. But I just want to say again, like there are times where there are silence in our communities, and
Mhm.
we just don't make it mean anything other than people are out there doing their work, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they need help, I know they ask, and we
Yeah.
sometimes will post things and nobody says anything, and it's
Yeah.
fine. It's totally
Yeah.
fine, right?
Yeah. And we have a lot of calls every single week and hours as well. So people who are looking for connection don't have to do it only in like a type it out community space, right? There's
Mhm.
actual z- video calls, like
Yep.
Zoom calls
Yep.
where they're able to have those connections. So
Yeah.
I think the like written community forums, the community in Marvelous is particularly important if you don't host kind of interactive sessions on a regular basis with your people. That community is going to lend itself to being more people interacting by typing notes to each other or voice messaging each other within that kind of a space. If you
Mhm.
also have calls, group calls, that maybe is going to make that community space a little quieter because people are getting that community interaction like face to face on their screens. So I think it's
Mhm.
also like, yes, don't make it mean anything. And then really look at your clients, at your students, and evaluate, are they getting what they needed out of this thing they signed up for? That
Right.
should be the underlying question always. Are my people getting results? Are they getting what they paid for? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And as long as you're giving them that, then how many messages they type every week is a little
Doesn't
bit
matter.
irrelevant. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Okay, I love it. So we can just lose the stress over community engagement. And if you are still having your community on a Facebook group, we want you to ditch it. Watch this video next to find out why.